Hello everyone. I'm really sorry for the delay. There were some network issues because of which we couldn't get it onto time, but we'll be starting it soon now. So today is the first webinar session of our Whale Week, and we'll be starting today by covering some of the basic topics such as what is Docker and how to install it. So let's get started with what exactly Docker is. When we talk about Docker in plain terms, or basically technical terms, it is nothing but a container-based platform. So, what exactly mean by it is a container-based platform? So, let's have a look at what it means by container-based platform by taking a small example by which it will be very easy for us to understand what exactly it is. So, we all know that what is a software. Software is nothing but a stack of various different components. It's not just made up of a one single component. We know that. Like as a developer, when we create a software, we need to combine many of the small things, such as for say a front end or a back end, different databases, servers, libraries, dependencies, and all together as a one makes up a software or an application. So one of the major problem that we faces is that into its deployment stage. Like whenever we deploy our application or app onto any machine or any different environment, then the environment onto which it is created, we often see that it doesn't work exactly same as it was created onto the development environment. So to resolve this problem, we need to make sure that each and every component is compatible with each and every machine onto which our application or software can be deployed, or onto each and every environment onto which it can be deployed. So this is where Docker comes into picture. Docker can be said literally as a savior. Docker is what you can say is just a tool which is designed for running and deployment of our applications and software very easily using something that are called containers. Now, what are these containers? As I discussed earlier, that these softwares or applications are made up of different components. So basically, in a container, you can package all of these components together as one unit, and with the help of Docker, you can deploy it to all possible machines onto which it can be deployed, and it will work just the same as it was created into the development environment. So I hope now it is clear that what exactly Docker is, and like what exactly Docker is used, and what is one thing which or forces us to use Docker. Let's move forward with the working of Docker, and see a just general workflow of Docker and how does it works. Now, as you'll observe this image, you'll see that initially a developer, he or she creates his software or application. Now, what are these terms which are used in this chart, or you can say this image? First, the Docker file. The developer creates all its put all its dependencies, components of the application into one file. That file is simply known as Docker file. Now these Docker files, these are used to create what we called as Docker images. Now we'll be discussing in detail about what exactly are Docker images and the commands and everything related to it in our coming sessions. So stay tuned for that. As of now, you just need to understand that Docker files are used to create Docker images, and on running these Docker images, we get Docker containers. Also, these Docker images can be stored onto Docker Hub. Now, what is this Docker Hub? Docker Hub is nothing but just an online cloud platform where you can store all your Docker images. It is very much similar to what we called as GitHub. I'm sure that every one of you are familiar with what is GitHub. Like onto GitHub, we store all our code, and we can easily pull that code onto our system as and when we want. Similar is the Docker Hub. On Docker, when you open Docker Hub, you can see various publicly available images are there of various softwares and applications. Now from these Docker Hub, you can pull all of these images onto any environment you want, basically onto your system, or your desktop, whether it be a test environment or staging environment, and you will see that your application or software runs as it is, just the same as you have done onto your or made onto your development environment. So this is the simple and easy workflow of how exactly Docker works. We'll be covering each of these small parts of this workflow in detail in our coming sessions. So as I said, now since Docker is a container based platform, so it will be very beneficial for us if we get ourselves familiar with what exactly is the difference between virtualization and containerization, or we can say that the virtual machines or the Docker containers. Now I hope that all of you know what are virtual machines. We'll be discussing it in the concept of virtualization. So in the concept of virtualization, you can see this image, and we'll go through it. In the concept of virtualization, you can observe here there is something known as hypervisor. Now, what is this hypervisor? This hypervisor is nothing but it's in software which is used to create and run virtual machines. Now, this hypervisor can be used to create multiple virtual machines onto our host operating system. The one thing which differentiates virtual machines from Docker container is that these virtual machines have their own operating systems for running its application. As you can see in this picture, all these apps have their separate operating systems for running which are overheaded onto our host operating system. Also, one more thing is that in case of virtual machines, we need to allocate a fixed amount of memory. That is, a memory and fixed amount of memory as well as space and other resources to each and every components. It do not gets changed, like it do not changes. It is fixed. So this leads to the wastage of lot of storage onto our desktop and system. Now let's talk about what is containerization. Now from this image also you can see, in case of containerization, there is this host operating system onto which there is something known as container engine. This container engine Onto this container engine, various containers are stacked, and these containers, as we have discussed earlier in the workflow, are nothing but the ones which carry the package of all the components of the applications or the app. Now, the advantage of using Docker containers, or basically the containerization, is that there are no separate operating systems for running each of these apps. Then it uses the host operating system itself for running the apps and the applications onto our container engine. And one of the biggest, or we can say the greatest advantage which differentiates or distinguishes this Docker container from any other technology is that in case of Docker containers, the memory spaces and other resources are not fixed. It is fully flexible. It gets the memories and everything gets allocated and changes according to the requirement of the application. This is one thing which makes Docker very lightweight and very fast in its process. So now, in case of Docker, as I explained the containerization, there is this thing called container engine. Now, in case of Docker, this container engine is the Docker engine. So, what exactly is Docker engine? So, in order to understand what Docker engine is, you need to get yourself familiarized with the architecture onto which the Docker is made. It is based on an client server architecture. Now, in case of Docker, the client part is the command line interface part, onto which you will be giving different commands. And this Docker server, which is known as the Docker daemon, is the server part of the client server architecture. The server part, it contains all the containers that we have created, and it receives input from the client part, that is the command line interface in the form of different commands, and then runs onto it. Now the combination of this client and server, that is in case of Docker, the command line interface and the Docker daemon together as a whole is known as Docker engine. So I hope now it is clear that what is the difference between virtual machines and Docker. This is all for the explanation of what Docker is and how it works. It was a very basic information for all those who are very new to this thing or are beginners in this journey. So now we'll be seeing the installation part of Docker and how to install it. I'll be giving a demo of installation of Docker onto Mac OS system, and we'll also be discussing about the installation process for the Windows operating system. So for downloading Docker, just go to Google, type Docker documentation, and as soon as you'll click that, this window will appears. Just click on the docs, scroll down and go to product manual section, and as it opens, just go to the left screen, and just scroll down, and here you can see that Docker desktop for Mac as well as Docker desktop for Windows. Just first we'll be discussing about Mac, so just click on Docker desktop for Mac, then move forward by clicking install Docker desktop for Mac. Now this window will appear. Just click on download from Docker Hub. Now, as we have discussed earlier that Docker Hub is the online cloud platform, so for downloading Docker from Docker Hub, you need to create your ID, your profile onto this Docker Hub. So for doing that, just visit Docker Hub's official website, make your profile, create your account, and using those credentials, just log in onto your Docker Hub. I have already made one and have logged in using my credentials, and then follow the same process as I have discussed till now. Now this window will come. Before downloading, just look onto your right part of your window, and you will see that for different versions of Mac there are different Docker to be downloaded. So before downloading, just have a look onto these prerequisites. If you're having your version of Mac OS Yosemite 10.10.3 or above, you can directly download Docker onto your system. While if you have any of the versions older than this, you need to download Docker Toolbox for getting Docker onto your system. You can also refer to this link directly to download Docker onto your system. So just after doing that, just click on, since I am having a version greater than like the latest version, so I can directly download Docker without downloading Docker Toolbox. So just click on Get Docker. As soon as you will click on Get Docker, a docker.dmg file will start downloading. I have already downloaded that file. This file is the docker.dmg file. It will take some time, like for a minute or a half, to get it downloaded. As soon as it gets downloaded, just click on this file. As you will click on this file, this window will come. Just drag and drop this icon into your application section, and you can find Docker here. So this is how you can download Docker onto your system. Now, after downloading, you can see here this icon will appear onto your desktop bar when your Docker installation is complete. And you can get certain information by clicking onto this icon, such as here you can see that the Docker desktop is running, You can also restart it from here. You can quit your Docker desktop. So these are some of the basic information you can get in by clicking onto this icon. Here you can also see one of these things which is known as Skytematic. This is nothing but a graphical user interface for Docker, where you can easily manage all of the images that you have pulled from Docker Hub, or all of the images which you have created and stored onto your system. So this is all for Mac. You can then just go to terminal for starting Docker and run this command docker. As you will click on Docker, you can see a list of various commands. Let me minimize it. You can see various list of commands which you can use while working with Docker. So you can easily go through these commands, and we'll be discussing about various commands in our coming sessions. Like, I can give you a demo of simple commands such as docker images. If I run this command docker images, here you can see there are 3 images available, like Ubuntu and Hello World. These images I have already created and downloaded it from Docker Hub. So this also shows and validates that your Docker is running completely fine onto your system. Now, in order to download Docker for Windows, you can refer to this link directly. Like, if you don't want to go step by step as we have discussed for Mac, just go to this link and you'll get your file for downloading onto the Windows operating system. See, you can go here directly, Docker Desktop for Windows, click on Install Docker Desktop. Then you need to repeat the same process. Then download from Docker Hub, create your ID on Docker Hub, and continue with the process. And just click on Get Docker, and you'll download file from this Docker Hub onto your system. Just run that file, follow the steps. You can also scroll down and see it is given step by step each what to follow in order to get Docker onto your system. Now, I hope that it is clear, the installation process is clear. If you have any doubt or any queries, you can let me know into your comment section. I hope this video was helpful, and we'll be covering many different topics in our coming sessions. And if you wish or if you want to give any suggestion or something, we are open to it all. Just give your comments and do like and subscribe. Thank you for listening.